You're watching Fugitive Red Eye, and welcome to another installment of Smith Saturdays. Today I'll be reviewing the film Chasing Amy, which, as I hinted at last week, is my least favorite part of the View Askew-universe. Or at least my least favorite part of the mainline View Askew-universe. And what I mean by the mainline View Askew-universe is the canon films, meaning Clerks, Chasing Amy, Mallrats, Dogma, and Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back. As well as Clerks 2. So there are some expanded View Askew-universe parts that I don't like as much as this film, but I will go over those in the coming weeks. But just because it's my least favorite of the films doesn't mean I don't like it. Chasing Amy is about a guy who befriends a lesbian woman who he wants to get with, and the movie basically just focuses on him trying to get her to be interested in him as well. There will be some spoilers ahead from this point on, so be warned. Throughout most of the film, he believes she's never been with a man, and he wants to be the first man she's been with, although he later finds out that's not true, and she's actually been with multiple men at once. They have a big fight, and basically this whole movie is an analysis of how relationships work. There's also this weird subplot about his roommate being gay for him secretly, and also he doesn't like the woman. Now, an interesting thing is the woman's name isn't actually Amy. Amy is actually a different woman that's mentioned by Silent Bob towards the end of the film. This guy is also a comic book writer, and towards the end of the film, he writes a comic book about his experiences with this chick. And that's pretty much all there is to the plot. There's really not a whole lot going for it other than the whole thing about their relationship. I think part of the reason I'm a little bit less into this movie than the other View Askew-universe films is I don't feel there's much screen chemistry between any of the actors. I feel like Jason Lee is really the only one who puts on a very notable performance, and everyone else is just sort of alright. Also, the plot doesn't intrigue me that much because it's not as relatable as, say, Clerks, which, is a workplace comedy, so it's very relatable to pretty much everyone. Whereas, to be perfectly honest, the plot to Chasing Amy sounds like the setup to a bad porno. Interesting little tangent. There's actually the lost scene of Clerks, which is included on the Clerks X set, does actually have the chick from Chasing Amy in it, because Randall walks up to her and says, "Hey, finger cuffs, how's it going?" or something like that. Another interesting tidbit that I'm sure no one cares about is this is the only DVD I've ever owned that has disc rot on it. This has nothing to do with the film itself, simply my copy, but that means that it is deteriorating and only works in specific players I have, because the disc itself is degenerating. Another thing I don't like about this movie is Jay and Silent Bob are really shoehorned in towards the end. They're not really relevant until the very last few scenes of the movie. Now, although I do feel like Jay and Silent Bob are overrated characters, I do still very much enjoy them, so the fact that they're just kind of shoehorned in at the end feels like a little bit of a cop-out to me because they are prominent in every other View Askew-universe film. Which makes sense because they're the only characters that tie it together for the most part. I mean, there are mentions of other characters and others, and a lot of characters make cameos in Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back. Not to mention there's characters that are Dante's cousins throughout most of these films. But anyway, Chasing Amy isn't that bad of a film, but it's not as good as the rest of the View Askew-universe, although I do enjoy it. And although most of this video has been nothing but criticism, I do still recommend you check it out because it does have quite a few good laughs, and it is pretty entertaining. I just feel like it's lacking in, say, the areas that Clerks, Mallrats, and Dogma make up for. Particularly Clerks. But anyway, this has been Fugitive Red Eye, and you have a great rest of the day.
Subscribe to Fugitive Red Eye.